Okay, welcome in everybody. Welcome in everyone. Thank you for being here. This is the newest edition of the Crypto Mike podcast and broadcast. All right. First of all, this is not financial advice. I'm going to talk money, crypto, maybe some investing, but this is not financial advice. All right. This is for entertainment only. Remember that. This is entertainment only. Okay? Please join me on Patreon. Crypto Mike 01 on Patreon. On YouTube, Crypto Mike 9000. And we have the podcast up now. It's Crypto Talk with Mike. Please come join me there. You can get it for free on Spotify, Anchor, all over now. Crypto Talk with Mike. It's a new podcast. New episodes are up. So I'm not going to give you financial advice. I'm just going to tell you to stay happy, stay healthy, and stack your sats. All right? So I'm going to tell you to do. After that, everything else is just entertainment. All right? Who is Satoshi? Today's video is going to be about who is Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay? Some new things have come up after the El Salvador Bitcoin City announcement. There's new talk about someone uncovered an old quote from drug kingpin Pablo Escobar's brother, who claims in a book that the United States government created Bitcoin, and caused some controversy recently. That's why we're going to do this video. Lots of things trending on Twitter about that topic now. Doesn't mean it's true, and it's also not new. It's not new at all. The earliest thoughts as to where Bitcoin came from has been the United States government. And outside of that, other governments, China, Russia, enemies of the United States, or alleged enemies, the boogeymen to USA people. They're not really, but they are. The press will tell you they are. So, the USA government. Now, I'm not going to say yes, no, I don't know. I hope not. I sure hope not, because that's not the one scenario in which I couldn't support Bitcoin anymore, you know? Early on, even Vitalik Buterin, the Ethereum fella, it was years ago, and he's taken back the statement now, but he questioned thinking that the United States government, the NSA, I believe he said, started it. So anyone that doesn't know, in the U.S., you can take these agencies, three-letter agencies, you can just mix and match. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying they all work together or anything, but they're all the same at the end of the day. All right? Doesn't matter. People always say CIA. Well, you can interchange NSA or any other three-lettered agency for that. It doesn't matter. Bitcoin looks unstoppable, so I certainly hope it's not from the United States government, but do not rule it out. Definitely don't rule it out. One thing we hear about more and more is Elon Musk himself. Everyone these days thinks of Elon Musk as the Tesla guy. He's the Tesla guy. That's what everyone says. Maybe the SpaceX guy, right? But long ago, going back years, Elon was the PayPal guy. He's the one that made PayPal, or at least made it big, you know. It was Peter Thiel's company. I'm going to talk about Peter Thiel. Can't do Satoshi talk without talking about Peter Thiel also. We'll actually talk about him next. So, Elon Musk, he started PayPal way back. He is the one who claims he was so upset about the financial crisis, right? Same as Satoshi. A while back, Elon said the only way he ever got any Bitcoin was a friend sent him some, which is how Satoshi and the early cryptographers, the early cypherpunks, the early cryptographers gave it back and forth to each other to get it going, you know? So maybe he was involved early on. Another thing I want to address is, and I have no evidence it is him. I don't actually think it is him. But again, can't rule any of these things out. The government cannot be ruled out. Other big governments can't be ruled out either. All right. I actually don't think it's Elon, but do not rule this guy out. So go right to Peter Thiel next. Right to Peter Thiel next. All right. Peter Thiel is actually the PayPal guy. PayPal was Peter Thiel's company, and Musk had a different company, and they merged the companies together, and they called them PayPal. And then the PayPal mafia and the whole thing went from there. But that was way back. And Peter Thiel has since been one of these guys who's run big companies, lots of government contracts, lots of CIA contracts, lots of U.S. government contracts. Even today, he's the Palantir guy, for anyone that doesn't know that. He was one of the original backers of Palantir, which is literally a spy company, and that's what they do. That's literally what they do. Do not rule out Peter Thiel. Again, I don't think it's him. Another well-known one, before we get to some of the people who it really could be. At Jack himself, Jack Dorsey, recently come out as a big Bitcoin bull. We've talked about him a few times on this show. A lot of people in the Bitcoin community just don't trust the guy because he's a central planner type. But it's possible he created it. I don't know. He's pushing it very hard now, harder than anyone else I can see. On both his big companies, Square has grown into a huge company now. Twitter, everyone knows about. Both of the companies are involved. Square has Bitcoin now on the balance sheet. Twitter is incorporated the Bitcoin tipping and some other features. So they're very, very, very involved. AI, this is a far-out conspiracy theory. I don't give it too much credence, but I'm going to put it in there because it's been talked about lately. Is Satoshi Nakamoto really an AI program? Was Bitcoin created by artificial intelligence? And again, trace it back to wherever you want there. Peter Thiel, CIA, whatever you want. Jack, no. AI, probably definitely not. Dorian Nakamoto. You guys remember this guy? A few years back, an American Newsweek magazine in the United States. They went after this guy, Dorian Nakamoto. His face, you see his face a lot. He looks like an older fella. I think he was about 65 at the time they went after him. They took a picture of this poor guy's house, put it out all over in the media, and he is a retired computer engineer or something like that, but he had nothing to do with it. It was pretty quickly debunked, and Newsweek has never recovered its credibility since. They went after that poor guy. One guy you don't hear a lot about is a gentleman named Len Sassaman. Okay, I know who he is. I hadn't heard much about him, so I went and looked him up for this piece. And so was known as a brilliant cryptographer. Okay, he has since passed on. It's said he was a suicide. Again, in question, as far as I'm concerned, as far as a lot of people are concerned. When people like this go, you just have to question everything. Don't be afraid to question everything. I mean, everything. Feel free to question me too. Question everything, really. So this poor young fella committed suicide is the story in 2011. He's the subject of much debate. I don't know. One thing we do know is that the Satoshi stash of Bitcoin is still sitting quietly, okay? Waiting for someone to move it, Satoshi did leave some clues in the code and messages written prior to 2011, but not enough to bring it to anyone in particular. Craig Wright, let's get this one out of the way. Here's one most people just don't believe. Craig Wright is been in the news right now, even today. He's part of this fake Toshi trial in Miami. You guys have probably heard something about this. Anyone paying attention in the Bitcoin space, right? Craig Wright claims to be Satoshi. No, I don't want to say he's not Satoshi because he sues everyone that says that. I don't need that. Craig Wright was involved with cryptography early on. And he was later on involved with the Bitcoin Cash and the fork to Bitcoin SV. Okay, that was him. But he's had a lot of public lawsuits trying to say he's Satoshi. He hasn't been able to move the Satoshi stash or any definitive proof. He won at least one high-profile case in court, but that was due to, not that he proved he was Satoshi, it was just that someone else was unwilling to give up some personal information about themselves, and Craig won, got the upper hand in the lawsuit kind of by default, you know. So I am going to say long shot there. Nick Szabo. This guy was the inventor of Bitcoin, BitGold, before Bitcoin. This is before Bitcoin even came out. A computer engineer. He did early work on smart contracts before anyone ever heard about what they were. He did early work on decentralized money before anyone ever really talked about that. And he was the BitGold guy, which a lot of people think was the precursor to Bitcoin. So it's possible. A lot of smart people legitimately believe this is the guy. This is the guy. I'm not going to say yes or no. I don't know. If I had to pick one, if I had to pick somebody, I'm going to pick the next guy. And I'm not saying he's Satoshi. In fact, he's gone now. We've tragically lost him also. But Hal Finney. Hal Finney, a true pioneer in the cryptography space, an early cypherpunk. He died in 2014. He was the first recipient of a Bitcoin transaction sent from Satoshi. That puts him right there, right at the very beginning. The most evidence is for Hal. Again, he's gone now, and we're not going to find out from him, at least, you know, which is really too bad. He was he was legit cryptography pioneer. This is a leading contender as far as I'm concerned. Okay, Hal Finney. Next up, Adam Back. This is the Blockstream guy. A lot of smart people think this is the guy too. This is the Blockstream guy that we know him as today. He's a cryptographer, known well in the cypherpunk movement. He did interact early on with Satoshi, and we know that. We know this. Again, no proof either way, and the fact that the Satoshi stash stays quiet is a problem for a lot of these. Like I say, I would rule out a bunch of these guys right off the bat. Elon, Jack. We're definitely going to rule out Dorian, although he could be fooled. You never know. We could get fooled. Who knows, right? Yeah, so there's no shortage of people saying that Bitcoin comes from the same place that the internet itself came from. And there's even some debate here, but generally people will tell you the U.S. government, right? The Defense Department. So I guess that's possible. Hopefully that's not the case, you know. But the point here is the Satoshi stash is still sitting quietly, all right? So if Satoshi's out there and he's a person, he's a he, whatever, very, very patient and very not interested in all that money. A lot of money there now. But just remember, please visit me on Patreon when you get a chance. Crypto Mike 01 on Patreon. On YouTube, Crypto Mike 9000. Very, very easy. Twitter, most of you are coming here from Twitter, so I don't have to give you that. And the new podcast is up and running. Please visit us. It's Crypto Talk with Mike. You can see it on Anchor, on Spotify, and any way you get your podcasts now. New episodes are up, so please visit. Thank you very much. Remember, stay happy, stay healthy, keep stacking those sats.